So Colin Cowherd predicts that the Bears are going to make the 2025 NFL playoffs. Is he right or is he wrong? We're going to discuss that next on the Chicago Sports Podcast.
Let's go. Yo. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Welcome into the Chicago Sports Podcast. Thank you guys for watching tonight. We are happy to be with you talking about the Bears and everything football. I'm Matt Cooper. I've got my buddy Trax, the original OG, the creator of the Chicago Sports Podcast. How's it going, Mr. Trax?
Good, man. Fresh off the mend, hanging out with you beautiful people on Friday night, so that's awesome. Stay hydrated out there, folks. It's hot.
Yeah, the heat, the humidity, beautiful people. You must be talking about Chris. That's the first person I thought of, man. When you're talking about beautiful people over here,
he makes us all beautiful. He makes everything beautiful.
Chris,
I don't know,
man.
On, this facial hair ain't the way I like it, but I'll be all right. I'm still wearing it pretty well, but I'm hanging in there with you guys. You know what I'm saying?
We're all competing for the.
Just love to be back.
Right.
Well, thank you guys for watching. We're talking about Colin Cowherd. He predicted on his show that the Bears are going to make the 2025 NFL playoffs. And guys, we're going to get into this a little bit because he brought up 3 different reasons why that is going to happen. And I know Chris and I have talked a little bit about that too on a couple of past shows and some predictions and kind of what we think is going to happen. But we're going to dive into what he thinks. And before we do that, you guys can like and subscribe also on the our YouTube channel and get all the notifications popping up. And you can also share this video as well with all of your Bears friends and tell them, hey, man, we're the smartest guys in the world or we're not so smart. I might go into the other category. 3 reasons why the Bears will make the playoffs. So this is how he started off. So the first thing he was talking about was the division has a lot of question marks. So a couple of things. So I'm going to kind of paraphrase on what he was talking about here, guys. And then I'm going to go around the room and see what you think. Minnesota is going to regress. Detroit won't be as good because of the coordinators, and Green Bay doesn't have the dominating personnel. So I'm going to start with the Lions. And you know what kind of caught my attention here is I knew they lost some coaches. I didn't realize they lost 8 coaches this year. And I know we talk a lot about the coordinators, but 8 coaches to lose the coordinators and other position coaches, that is a lot. Now, I do still think they're the most talented team in the division right now. So Trax, I'll start with you, man. When we talk about the Detroit Lions, I mean, losing a lot of personnel like that. But then I guess when you're good every year, that's what's going to happen. And if you're a really good head coach in the NFL, you have the manpower to make those decisions and replace them.
Yeah, you sure do. But at the end of the day, the architect's still there, the guy that bites the kneecaps off, right? So as long as you're sending out the marching orders, the heads will roll and the knees will be ever so biteable. So, yeah, I think at the end of the day, and here's the thing. I was talking to Jim Miller, our co-host. He was saying that Morton, he's going to be calling the shots. He's going to be calling the plays on offense, and he really likes Johnny Morton. And there's not going to be that much of a drop-off, So he's expecting good things. And basically on that side of the ball, or over there on that side of the North, if you look at that team, what did they lose? Like 14, 17 something guys, Chris, through all these injuries and that. And they were still running up scores, 30, 40 points a rip with their second string, third string, whatever. So, I mean, coaching matters, but when you got the players, man, I mean, you can make second string and third string look like starters and forget that they were the most beat up team in the NFL and probably of all time, if you go back and look at the record books. I mean, so many times, you look at these games and, at the end of the day, they ended with 15 wins and in the playoffs, Matt. I mean, it's redunculous what happened there, but yeah, are they going to have a step back with those coaches and all that? Yes, absolutely. But I think if if they do good, you know, incrementally good, not, you know, and it's hard to, you know, be as good as you were 15. I mean, let's be real. How many times has that happened, guys, where you're like 15 year in and year out? You know what I'm saying? I think to come to mind, the Colts did it for a little while, right? But yeah, I think with that step back, like Matt was saying, all those coaches being gone, are they going to get 15 wins? I mean, hypothetically, crystal ball in it, probably not. But even if they're in the conversations of playoffs and that, that'll still be pretty impressive. And I think, you know, with the scales, Matt, you know, with it being how it is, if they're healthy, they get Aiden Hutch back and the defense back. Most of them are defensive players, right, guys? They get those guys back. It'll definitely make up for those losses in you know, leadership, I think.
I agree with you, Trax. Chris, he brings a lot of good points, and he brings up a good point about the offensive coordinator who was in that system, not last year. He was with the Broncos last year, but it was the year before that. So he worked with Ben Johnson, and there's probably going to be a lot of similarities in that offense. Now, is he Ben Johnson? I guess we're going to find out. We're going to find out and see what happens when he calls plays. We don't know the answer to that, but when you got all those defensive players coming back, like Trax says, I still think they're a 10 to 12 win team.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Chris? I think that's pretty close to where I had. I'm curious as to what you thought.
I say around 10, 11 wins. I honestly think it's going to take a while for that offense, for the coaching staff to be on the same sheet of music. I mean, there's a lot of guys went a lot of places, and you have to refill them spots. But those coordinators, they were actually inside hires, so it's like the foundation is the same. But as far as like how we're going to build the house up, as far as this system for the offenses and defenses, that's where you got to, like, you know, they got to figure that out. So I think that's probably going to take a couple games. They're probably go with their strengths first, and then, you know, try to, whatever holes and weaknesses, they're probably going to plug them up with whatever way they can schematically. But you got to also know that, you know, the Detroit Lions now, that toughness, that grit, that physicality is going to be there. So if anything, the schematics probably can be like a little shoddy from the beginning out the gate. But you gotta know when you go in against the Detroit Lions, it's gonna be a dogfight.
Always is.
It's gonna be a dogfight. So I do think it's gonna be, I'll say like 10, 11 wins. I'll say probably, like, you know, some point, and they can, you know, you see them making the wild card with ease. But, you know, I don't see a 15 win, probably like 13, 15 win season.
Folks,
no,
isn't that crazy that we're talking about this right now? I mean, pinch me. A decade ago, you guys would have probably asked me to, you know, go for a drop and pee in a bottle or something, because you're like, you know, you're out of here. You're crazy, Trax. But I mean, like, rinse and repeat almost to the point with these Lions, man. I mean, they're the real deal, you know, especially if they get over this hump of all this stuff Matt just broke down, you know, the coaching and all that, and the, you know, the changing. But man, it's hard for me to say that they're gone until they're gone. Now, and for me, like the vibes, like Washington, I feel like if there was a team, it would be them, because Detroit's been more consistent, you know, whereas Washington, it kind of, I don't know, man. I feel like people are going to game plan on them. They're going to look at them, you know, and say, okay, well, we really didn't have this physicality. They were talking about this. They were talking about this on the NFL Network, and I was getting kind of excited about it because I like that Jaden, you know, he's a good ball player. And it's not just his speed, you know, it's the way he slings that rock, man. And he's got some good receivers over there. Now, Deebo Samuel, he looks like he ate himself out of the receiving room and maybe into the tight end. I don't know, but, you know, at the end of the day, I think they're going to be planning for this Jaden Daniels a little bit more, flash in the pan the first year. Can they bring that back? I don't think so. But if you had to ask me, like, Trax, which team would be consistent in the NFC between those two, you know, because last year they made me a fool, and you know, to the point of Minnesota too. All those drop-offs, I didn't think they were anywhere close. They had 14 wins last year in the playoffs. It was redunculous.
Well,
you know, I figure you get rid of you get rid of your Kirk Cousins, right? And I believe they had a star edge or something. They traded off or released. Yeah, there you go. And I'm like, dude, there's a drop off. We're good. Watch, Minnesota's nowhere going to be. They were in second. They were in second place. They were one of the best records in the NFC. You know. So, but to Matt's point, I like Matt's point. They could take a step back and Minnesota could elevate, or would it be Green Bay, or would it be us? I mean, it's a big conundrum. I thought it had it all figured out last year, Matt, but I'm telling everybody, this is, who says you can't have a, confession Friday night, I mean, you don't have to wait for Sunday, Matt. My confession is this. I paid attention to all the upgrades we had and none of the upgrades any of the other teams had, bro. And I think that's why I'm a little bit more, cautious as to what's going to happen, Matt.
Well, you're leading me right into Minnesota, man, because that was right next on my list. Because I feel like Minnesota is going to be the wild card again this year, and you see a lot of it's going to be in the quarterback, and we understand that because he's a rookie quarterback coming back from a really bad injury last year.
Right.
But I'll say this, guys, I'm not counting Minnesota out. Like I know a lot of people are saying that they're going to regress and they're going to fall off a little bit because of the rookie quarterback. But then my counterpoint to that was I thought that was going to happen to what you were saying, Trax. I thought that was going to happen last year with Sam Darnold, and they somehow won all those games with him as their starting quarterback for a guy that was never a really good starting quarterback till he went there. So their head coach is really good, Kevin O'Connell. He knows how to coach quarterbacks. Our quarterback loves Kevin O'Connell. Caleb Williams loves Kevin O'Connell. And I'm not counting this guy out. I feel like this guy's going to do some type of magic with this quarterback too. Now, is it going to be to the effect of 13, 14? I don't know about that. But they're like the Bears, though. They made a lot of upgrades. They made a lot of upgrades on the offensive line, and they're going to protect him. So, Chris, I'll start with you, man. The Minnesota Vikings. I'm not underestimating this team. I still think this team's going to be very competitive in our division.
Well, I had the pleasure of paying quite a bit of attention to the Minnesota Vikings just because they made quite a bit of additions on that defensive line. And I think that'll make them the biggest challenge because now you have a Jonathan Allen from Washington, and he's part of an organization that it's not like how most of his career was in Washington when they were in there losing ways, and now he's in Minnesota. That's coming off of a playoff appearance, even though he was at Washington during that playoff run. But when you look at how they built it, I believe they also got Hargrave, who was also with the 49ers, another defensive tackle, interior rusher. So again, Minnesota's building this to where they'll be able to push the pocket. And then you have that complex coverage that Brian Flores likes to deploy on the back end. So now it's like they're setting it up to where they could just rush forward and he can just play chess with you on the back end. So I mean, the only thing that if you are a Vikings fan, you're worried about that safety spot because of the fact that they lost Bynum, but because of how Brian Flores uses his pieces on the back end, you're not really that concerned. So I think the biggest concern, I would say the biggest concern is the Vikings because they upgraded that pass rush. They upgraded that defensive line. I think they'd probably be like, I would say number two. I would say number two or number three. Number 2, 3 would be right here. If we're number one, number 2 or number 3 is like probably a one or two games difference, to be honest.
Trax, I like that he brings up Brian Flores because this is his third year as a defensive coordinator, and I feel like he's got all of his pieces to what Chris brought up there. He's got all of his pieces in place that he's looking for on his defense right now, and that defense could be very good this year.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what, the additions of Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, those guys are beasts, man. They strengthened both lines through free agency and the draft, offense and defense, man. They're looking pretty good. You got the additions, Jordan Addison coming back off that injury, Aaron Jones, who I wish we would have picked up, sleeping with the enemy. Not really a big fan of picking up Packers, but when you look at a guy like Aaron Jones, I mean, Chris,
this is what happens when you say Aaron Jones, Trax.
You're laying sideways.
He brought up a former Packer in the Viking.
Fan.
That's what happens. He goes sideways.
Okay. All right. I got you. So, I mean, like going back to that solid draft class, man, I'll tell you what, They added several really good pieces. Donovan Jackson, offensive receiver Ty Felton, lineman Tyrion Ingram, Dawkins, linebacker Kobe King, and tight end Gavin Bartholomew. I mean, you got to be a beast if your last name is Bartholomew. You're going to get picked on early and often. You're a football player. You better bring the game. Sorry, man. I mean, you can't even stop. Like, you can't even hyphenate that to make it look cool. Barth? No, that ain't going to work. Mule? Maybe Mule. Yeah, maybe that's his nickname, Mule. But you got to be a mule, you know? They got some international games too. They're going to play 2 international games, which could be an advantage due to the team's experience traveling overseas and all that kind of stuff. So I looked at all of that up, but I do, going back to what Chris said and you said too, Kevin O'Connell is known for, his talent. And I will say this, the Minnesota Vikings are known to be the gold standard as far as like treatment within the team and all that. Jared Allen, I'm going to be interviewing up there. He had a little timeshare with us with the Bears, edge rusher. He'll be up there. He's a big, for the enshrinement this year. He's getting enshrined into the draft class 2025. So that'll be fun. But they're the gold standard, man. They treat their players really good. They're known for that. They have big praises on JJ McCarthy. Even though he's a rookie, he's got a little experience, just being in and around the the NFL and being able to sit back and watch, and hang out with a really good coach in O'Connell. And he had a really good quarterback last year. I mean, really helped him. I wouldn't say he's a journeyman quarterback because I don't expect, and not many people expect, Darnold to be what he was this year with what he had in Minnesota. It's really hard to recap that, redo that all over again. That's not like a rinse and repeat thing for Darnold, but not to say he's going to fall back into his old ways that we saw him over at USC and everywhere else, journeyman. But I do think he learned some stuff from him. I think that's going to help him out. You don't really know what he's going to look like as far as, after that injury, Chris. But I will say this, even though he didn't have a lot of attempts, when he did have a lot of attempts in Michigan, or when he was called upon, when he was called upon, Matt, he executed very well. So when it was time for him to throw the rock, he did a really good job, and I think that's basically what they're looking at. In Minnesota, guys, you really do not need to be the guy that throws the cape on, okay? You just have to be the bus driver and not run it into a wall, jump outside, and flatten all tires and set it on fire. If you don't do that, you'll be all right. And you don't have to be amazing coming into it. So I think if he has numbers, and that's going to be hard to do, it's like Caleb Williams numbers, not everybody could do that, okay? Not everybody could do that. And Caleb was handed a lot worse situation. But those numbers are really impressive. And I don't know if he's going to have those kind of numbers, Chris, but if he gets close to it, I would consider that a pretty darn good year. You know what I mean?
And you know what else I forgot to mention here too, when we're talking about the Lions and the Vikings, they both have very good general managers that run those teams. So
yeah,
there's a reason why they win every year, because they make the right moves and the right draft picks.
I had something else that I wanted to share with you folks, and it keeps slipping me. Jordan Addison is facing suspension early. So that could be an issue with Minnesota early out the gate. And I can't remember. I know we got a graphic up here, Matt, of when we play Minnesota. I think we
second game of the year. I'm sorry, first game of the year. I'm sorry, Detroit's the second game of the year. Minnesota's the first game, Monday Night Football.
So this is good. This is good for us. Jordan
First
Addison,
3 games, I think.
second best receiver on the team, right? So JJ versus JJ. Yep. No JA. He's out A. So this is good, A.
Oh, I see where you're going there with the A's. Like we're in Wisconsin, man. Like we're trying to say we're in Wisconsin today, huh?
Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah. Guys, the last team in our division, I kept the Packers. I saved the best for last because we're all big Packers fans next to being Bears fans.
What?
So,
lay down sideways and turn it on that one, Chris.
Chris, you got to go sideways again.
Come on.
I was just seeing if I was going to make that pass, you guys. But, and today will be my final day at the Chicago Sports podcast. The show is done. The Packers, guys, is going to be the interesting team to me because I thought last year they had a pretty good defense, but they didn't have a good pass rush at all. The pass rush, their secondary might be a little bit in question, but the biggest question mark for them is Jordan Love. I mean, let's be honest here. There are times that I thought he looked really good and he looked accurate, and there are other times he was throwing the ball to the other team. And I thought he had a good year, but I didn't think I don't think it felt like he took that next step that I thought he possibly could do. And is it going to happen for Jordan Love this year? Now, they did draft a wide receiver that I actually really liked the first round draft pick. I like the pick they took with Golden. Yeah, I really like that pick for them. So yeah. I'm interested to see with the new receivers coming in and with the other receivers that they have, if they're all going to gel like that. Trax, I think that's going to be the big question mark with them is Jordan Love able to take that next level? Is he able to take up that next step? Because I feel like I have him at the mid-tier right now of NFL quarterbacks. Is he able to go up to the next tier? I don't know the answer to that.
Well, we know if we put pressure on him, he falls right around 50% or below. But Chris, I got to ask you a question, man. Is it concerning? Not to you, because we want this to happen. We want them to implode, right? But a guy like Golden, right? Him dropping the balls and all that, training camp, whatever, or not training camp, but mini camps, whatever, volunteer. Does that concern you? I mean, just in general, is that something that we, NFL fans could look at? Or do you think it's too early to be looking at something like that, man?
That's a good question. I
mean, you're a defensive.
I think it just.
I don't really look at you guys until like I catch my breath. I'm done blocking, and I'm like, oh, hey, the play's down there, But you're always looking at these receiver guys, so figured I'd ask you that.
Well, my concern when it comes to Green Bay is going to be really the secondary and the receiver core.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that you like usually their offense works to field and before that it was Christian Watkins. Now you got Matthew Golden. But it's like, how will that program run with Matthew Golden as that deep threat? And then you have Christian Watson. How's that going to roll when he gets back? But another thing about it is Jordan Love. Jordan Love has been inconsistent in his past 2 years. He was inconsistent in the first half of the year before, and inconsistent in the second half, and then inconsistent in the playoffs. Come in this year, inconsistent. He'll throw you a touchdown and throw a pick. He'll have one or two games where he throws 3 touchdowns, and you're like, this is the Jordan. They Packers fans, we ain't gonna say we, because ain't no we over here. It's they'll be like, yeah, this is what they were looking for. But then he'll throw like a 2 interception type of game, or he'll just be satisfied to just have an eye game, but not really a good game. So I think the biggest question is going to be that secondary, because how they're going to replace Jair Alexander. And then, their pass rush has been inconsistent for the most part. And then it's, what is their offense going to look like, and which Jordan Love are they getting this year? And if they're getting him.
That's what happens when we talk about the Packers. You go away.
Yeah. Yep. He'll be back. He'll be back. He was doing good though. He was on a roll, man.
His hatred for the Packers, you could tell it was coming out of his voice.
Yeah. Let's do a little station identification break and throw this. Wow, where'd it go? Is it not in the building anymore? I don't see it. Let's Chicago Sports Podcast, man. We got over 470 in the building. And
thanks for watching.
Holding it down. Thanks for watching, guys, on YouTube, on Facebook, all that, man. Appreciate you guys coming in. Like and subscribe. We just had a jersey giveaway. James Childress was a brand new owner of a brand new Thuney jersey. He's already all over the internet flashing it, very proud. Got it hanging up in the and I'll tell you what, that guy is a hard worker. I wouldn't be surprised if that was his last or his if that's not his one of many jerseys, I should say. But we got a graphic I want to share with you guys here in a little bit. I'll pull it up. But let's get back to Chris, because Chris was breaking it down right before we had a little situation backstage.
All right. It's really just all about which thank you tracks right there. It's really just about what type of Jordan Love they're getting, or if they're getting next year. But he hasn't really shown a full year of production. And because of that, I think that's their biggest question on offense is the quarterback position, even though they've paid him. But then at the same time, they still have to deal with on the back half who's going to be guarding that number one wide receiver week after week. And we all know in this division, there's about three of them they got to face for like every rivalry game. So I mean, they gotta worry about their defense. They got to worry about their offense. Also, you also got to keep in mind with Green Bay that majority of the wins most of the wins, majority of the wins in their schedule last season were against losing teams that were not really playoff contenders. So they also got to keep in mind, was that record last year kind of a fool's gold type of thing? Because they didn't really face a lot of the best teams in the NFL last year. They kind of picked on the lower half of the teams throughout their season. That's how their schedule played out. It's not their fault, but they also got to see about like, is our team really as good as they were last year? Does that record really fit because of who they play?
I like that. That's a good point. That's a really good point. I did right before you broke, I was still trying to pick your brain on those drops. Would you consider that? I mean, I know the old adage is if you could catch the ball, you wouldn't be a defensive back, you would be a receiver. So is this guy in the wrong position? Should he be a defensive back, or is he going to be all right as a receiver? Should we still worry about him with those early drops?
Usually drops are mainly about focus, hand placement, stuff like that, hand-eye coordination. Because some guys like to, when they come to catch, they have the ball in their hands, but then they do like this little double clutch, and that's when usually the drops happen. Or sometimes it's just because of focus. So I mean, see how it is with the focus. I say give it probably this 1 year or majority of the season, see how it is with the focus.
Yeah.
But if those drops stay consistent, like see how he feels about being in the DB room for a little bit. Maybe his knowledge of a receiver can make him an even better DB.
And I'll tell you what, here's another thing. If you're going to capitalize on that, do it now, right? Because if he's struggling, hopefully he keeps that going, against us, and we can cap on that, because that's good. Because there is a carousel, guys, right, at the receiver in Green Bay. Don't pick one up on your fantasy, Matt, because I'm telling you right now, bro, they are consistently inconsistent. They did bring up this on Moving the Chains with Pat Curran and Jim Miller. They said that if a team is looking for a third receiver, that would be one of the teams to poach and look at, because they have a lot of potential. Is it a 3? Is it a 2? Or is it a 1? They don't really know. You know what I mean? So it's
they have a lot of wild cards.
Right. Yeah. Good point. Good point.
They have a lot of wild cards.
I did get that graphic up there.
Yeah. There it is.
There it is. Yeah. All you got to do, like I said earlier about this jersey giveaway, man, is like, comment, subscribe, share this video with everybody. And, like I said, XApp holding it down with 560 in the building. And here's the deal. All you got to do is hop right on over and get into Chicago Sports Podcast on YouTube, subscribe, hit that like button, and hang out in the comments. Do some comments with us, man. Hang out. It's a fun time. We always make sure your voices are heard. I know Matt, especially Chris and myself and everybody on the other panels. This show is created by fans for fans. So your voice is going to be heard. You're not going to hear your voice heard on the 4-letter networks of CHSN or ESPN, or even the 3-letter networks of ABC, NBC, or CBS. None of that. You hear it right here on Chicago Sports Podcast. We'll pull you right up. We'll, show it for everybody to see, and we will make sure your voice is heard. We'll even, we might agree to disagree or agree or just disagree, whatever. But you're going to get out there for sure. So, but man, and we want to make sure we're going to have jerseys, hats, giveaways at the end of every month, starting last month, starting June. And like I said, we already had one. And that was awesome, man. And then end of next month, we're going to have another one. I think some people are starting to pull away. So if you want to get in there and get in the mix, make sure you're active. So back to you, Matt.
Yeah, you'll save a lot. Think of this too. You'll save a lot of money, man, because jerseys are expensive. I want a new jersey. That's what I'm looking. I was looking for a new jersey this season, and I was like, man, they could get very pricey too, man. So this is you, man. You can get this jersey and have it all season long.
I'm curious, Matt. Which one would you look at right now, or which ones are you looking at?
It's funny. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, there's so many.
I was thinking I want Brisker. Brisker is one of my favorite players on the Bears, Jaquan Brisker. So I think it would probably be him. That would be at least my top two. Him or Gordon would maybe be my other one. It's all the back secondary. Those are two of my favorite players on the team right now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and that was actually something that they talked about the other night on Wednesday night. Was the guys that are potentially the five. No, it was last night. The five guys that potentially are on the chopping block. And one of them's Brisker. And that's only because of his health and all that. I think if there was not a health issue, then they potentially wouldn't, let him slide. Obviously, he's a very good player. He says he's okay. Chris, you played DB. What do you think, man? You think it's still a concern, or do you think he's going to be all right, or what?
I think it'll take some time for him to get back. I would still. I mean, when he's ready to go, he's too talented to just pack him up and just send him off. I think you still try to give it that time, just a little bit more time, see where you're at, come preseason and stuff like that. But I honestly think he'll turn around for him. I think he'll be that guy that we think he can be. And I'll just say, just time, 2 or 3 years, but just give it this season, and then see where we're at. We'll see where he's at, and make the call from there. But I think he's gonna rise to the occasion.
Yeah, here's the thing I want to know though, guys. Do you think that a player at his caliber, who obviously plays with a physicality where he wants to hit, right? I mean, I feel like that's part of his, DNA. Now he's got it. Will he play different? Will he be more like Deion Sanders, where I don't really tackle? I'm just going to razzle dazzle you, play. You don't think so? You think he's going to be? I mean, he's definitely got to. How does that work, Chris? Because now he's got to be, protect the melon. He's got to be careful. Like, how can you do both at the same time? Have you ever been in that situation?
I think he'll fly around the field, but it won't be that Ryan Clark level of reckless abandon. You know what I'm saying? More, instead of worrying about delivering the big pop, you're gonna be more technique over the oohs and ahs. You'll bring thunder when you can put yourself in a good position to where it's not gonna destroy you to the fact where you're on the trainer's table and out the game. But I do think he's going to keep that physicality with him. You can't turn that off when you're on the field. Either you got it or you don't. Being able to deliver that hit is not really about the strength, the size, or whatever. It is about that 1.5 whatever second, that 0.5 second of hesitation. Do you have it or you don't? And if you have the hesitation, it's not going to work out well. You're going to get knocked around.
Well, Matt, let me ask you this, buddy, because I feel like, it's a fruit comparison, but it's not an apple. Michael Jordan, at certain points in his game, he had to evolve. Okay. He had to evolve into a different type of player. remember he started going and posting up. And then he started, layups, dunks, all that great stuff, penetration. And then he went and posted up, and got down in the paint. And then he even took it outside and shot that three. So I don't think that Brisker would have to, entirely take away that, that aggressive personality. I'm just wondering if you could transfer those skills over to a different part of playing a defensive back, so you're a little bit more cautious and careful with the melon. You know what I'm saying, Matt?
Trax, I think this is a tricky question to answer because of all that he went through last year and all that he was talking about of what he went through last year
Right.
and just how the effects happened. So I think to what Chris's point, like I feel like you've got that blood and you got that in you when you're playing that position. But I got to imagine at the same time when you go through all that, you're going to be altering your game just a little bit, knowing that if you
Yeah.
continue to play that way, your career could be over with. Your career could be over with. You could have some problems later on in life. Like I just feel like this isn't like I feel like this is because it's all psychological. Like what are you going through mentally when you're on the field doing that? Like, are you thinking about that when you're going to certain plays? Are you thinking about those type of plays that happened to you last year? Or are you back into your normal routine again? Or are you thinking, okay, that's all in the past right now? I just don't think that's the answer. I think that's going to have some type of some things that you're going to be thinking about when you're on the field like that. So I still think he's going to go out there and make the impact, but it's just going to be, I think he's going to have to just be a little bit more aware of what can happen to him if he does continue to go full throttle of the
I,
way he was playing last year.
I, I don't see it being like a trauma type of thing. It's more of a like you got to just train yourself to dial it back. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't think he's gonna be like scared to hit or anything like that. It'll be more. You can't just blow this guy up across the middle type of thing. Like maybe just wrap him up and run through. I'll still get the same like kind of thump, but it's not reckless.
Oh yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're
Yeah,
saying.
and maybe
Go ahead, Trax. Sorry.
no, you're good. I think I'm having on my end, I might be having some speed issues, some connectivity issues. I'm not sure. If it continues, I'll reboot. But yeah, basically, like I think like what he'll have to do, like I was saying before you left off, Chris, uh, Jordan had Jordan had to, evolve his game and whatnot, and play down in the paint, and then he went to the outside perimeter, to be that type of player. I think if you try to look at that as far as football goes, the defensive, instead of waiting to blow it up, maybe just meet that receiver a little bit quicker. So maybe jumping rope, maybe some stamina stuff, running, burst, getting that speed up, different type of speed skills and whatnot. Changing his game up a little bit. We might see a little different type Brisker. I don't think he's out. I think if you want it bad enough as a player, you'll find ways like Chris was talking about in order to evolve and make yourself, basically just find a way to still have that dog in you, just at a different level, So
Yeah, it's going to be something that we'll be watching all season long.
yeah.
And guys, we're talking about Colin Cowherd's predictions that the Bears will make the playoffs in the 2025 NFL playoffs. And he brings up the offensive line, Ben Johnson and the offensive line I want to get to next year. As we've talked a lot about the offensive line on these shows. I know you have Trax, me and Chris have as well. And again, I'm paraphrasing what he was talking about on the show. How the offensive line was awful last year. The upgrades, Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, and Joe Tooney, saying that's a good combination. And if you just look at it from last year compared to now, guys, like for left guard, we had Tevin Jenkins, who I'll be rooting for this year. I know he's in Cleveland now. I thought he was good when he was healthy, but that was a question if he could stay healthy or not. Jacobs to Tooney for left guard. You got Coleman Shelton to Drew Dahlman. I think that's a big upgrade. And then the Nate Davis, Matt Pryor to Jonah Jackson. I do think it could be an upgrade. We'll see if Jonah can bounce back after last year. So, Trax, when you look at the offensive line upgrades and You look at our offensive line going into this year. I should also mention Darnell Wright. Is he going to be able to take that next step? I think that's going to be a question mark on mine because I think there were times where I thought he played very well. And then at the end of the year, I thought he struggled a little bit. Trax, when you look at our upgrades at the offensive line, is there one or two that stand out to you, or is it all three that stand out to you? Is it just a major upgrade over everything that we had last year? Because let's face it, our offensive line was not good.
I honestly look at Jackson and I look at Thuney. Thuney is hands down the best interior guard in the NFL right now. He also is a serviceable left tackle when need be. So that's good that we've got like a fourth in rotation, but then you lose him at guard, right? So at any rate, this guy in the caliber where he's played, who he's blocked for. I mean, Brady and Mahomes, it doesn't get no better than that, folks. He
Couple average quarterbacks.
He he blocked for Caleb's mentor, Tom Brady. He's doing the diet thing. He's doing the they talk. It's crazy. But no, these two guys, listening to them on, again, moving the chains, Jonah Jackson and Thuney are hands down the best two interior tandem guards in the NFL. Now, when you go over here and you look at this guy at center, at Dolman, top 5, maybe even better, because when you put yourself next to a guy like Thuney, everybody's going to shine. Iron's going to sharpen iron. And although he did have a good guard next to him over in Atlanta, he was no Thuney. I think everybody is going to shine. And they got a 14 out of 20 in the positional group of offensive line. The Bears did. That's actually pretty good considering where they were at before. That flux as to who's going to be at left tackle, that's really going to be a big situation over there. And it's kind of hard to see what's going to transpire there. There's a lot of question marks with Braxton Jones. You don't know what's going to happen with him. The last time we saw him, basically it wasn't good. He was being carted off, if you guys remember that. So, we got a second-year guy, didn't have many reps, kind of hard to look at, see what we got, that guy out of Yale. You can't really put a big draft grade on a guy that hasn't been in the NFL yet, with freaking Olapondo, whatever, Zalippo, whatever his name is. And I like that guy. I think he's going to be a good guy, but you just can't really put a good solid number on a guy who hasn't even played in the NFL yet. Right tackle, that guy was ridiculous. Darnell Wright, he was the only thing right with our offensive line. Listen, if we were just even incrementally better, that's going to help Caleb out. And then calling plays, not just to call plays, but calling plays that make sense, that is catered and tailored to our weapons and our players that we have on our team. And I think that's the only difference that we're going to see, the difference between, the Detroit Lions and the Bears, is we don't have the players in Patrick. We don't have the players in Williams. We don't have a St. Brown. We've got different players that look different, play different, and they are different people. But Ben is still going to be Ben. A spade is still going to be a spade. You're going to see a lot of trickery, a lot of plays that are the same but look different, like he said he was going to do. And I think you can't do that unless you have an offensive line. I would say that they're actually more of a 15 or a 16, only going on, potential, Chris. And I know you're not supposed to grade out on potential, but I would rank them a little bit higher. So in order to answer your question, I'm very, very excited. And one last thing I'd like to say, I really like Dan Rushauer, and I like the assistant offensive line coach. You don't know how important that is, folks. I could tell you all day long of situations where I've gotten myself into trouble with really bad technique, and my offensive line coach, Chris, would come behind me and drop my shoulder down, and I'd automatically knew that I wasn't anchoring the way I was supposed to. I was riding too high on that side or whatever. Certain things that he did that spoke to me, that he understood, we understood each other's language. I think that in itself, even without these guys in the building, with the guys we had last year, those guys would get better. So I'm very excited about our offensive line, Matt, and I think it's going to be really nice to see.
I do too. I'm excited too. I'm excited about all these pickups. And Chris, Trax makes a lot of good points here. And I think when we look at our tackle spots, he brought talk a little bit about Braxton Jones, Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright, as he goes into this year, what are you expecting from him? Are you expecting another step, or do you think he is what he is right now? I still think there's a lot more left in him, and I still think he's a young player, and we need to find out, especially with the upgrades on the offensive line. I think he just gets better.
I think he's at a point in his career where it's like, he has to make that extra jump. He has the potential to. We've seen it on the field. We've seen it in his first 2 years. We've seen those flashes. We've seen, the athleticism. We've seen the power. We've seen everything that he comes with. It's just that, fine tuning it to come together to be like a top 5 tackle in the league. The potential's there. It's not like when he got drafted, we thought it was a reach. It was not. So, and he's shown that on the field that he has what it takes to reach that. You know what I'm saying? But it's all about continuing to evolve, elevate his game throughout his career. I would say I think he takes a bit of a jump this year because of the fact that he has that veteran leadership on the interior that can help him become, an even better tackle because of the fact that they have knowledge on how to help the tackles when it comes to guarding edges, when the tackle and ends run their gains, he can tell him, hey, here's how you defend this, here's how you pick this up on the twist stunts and stuff like that. Even when it comes to picking up blitzes, they also can be like, hey, do this simple way. It can also help this line to gel so they can be on the same sheet of music. So he can take this big jump. He got that veteran leadership on the inside that has had consistent play throughout their career. My only concern would be with the center Dolman. He's had a little bit of snap issues in Atlanta, but it's not really nothing to be concerned about. My biggest thing about that is the depth has a lot of versatility. So even if somebody goes down, you can still you can plug someone in that could be like the backup who is practicing being the center. He can still play the guard, or he could play the tackle if need be. We don't want to see any of these guys go down up front. But I'm excited about this offensive line. I'm excited about everything that coming with it this year.
I want to add something really quick because you left a little bit of meat on the bone, Chris, and you know how I am about these offensive linemen. Darnell Wright, you brought a really good point. You said I gave you a nice layup. Here's one for you. Darnell Wright with his penalties. He incurred 8 penalties in 2024. Out of 1,021 snaps, that is less than 1%. 0.9%. He also allowed 6 sacks and 3 QB hits. And despite the penalties, which to me are low, and it's going to get better. It's going to get cleaned up because he's going to have help with Jackson. Trust me, it's going to be a lot better. And he doesn't have that far to work with. Remember, he had some injuries too, played through those. Overall performance was 80% for PFF. One of the top right tackles in the league. So that was our best offensive lineman. Putting him next to Jonah and who knows Ben Johnson's scheme. He knows all of this. Putting him next to Dahlman, putting him next to Thuney, putting him next to question mark. Oh, baby, let's go. Let's go, Matt.
Damn right, let's go, man. You got me excited. You know what's funny, guys? I was thinking about that draft, the 2023 draft. Remember the offensive lineman that came out? Peter Skronsky, the guy that played at Northwestern that we thought we were going to go after, and then there was Broderick Jones that went to the Steelers. I feel like this is going to be a big year for that draft class for those linemen because those other 2 guys also have question. I think Darnell Wright's the best out of all of them, but I think those other guys got question marks too. So I'm going to be interested. I'm going to be following along to see how these tackles are playing this year because that was considered the big year for the tackles in the draft. So, there's a question here for you, Travis.
When it came to that draft,
no, you're good. Go ahead.
When it came to that draft class, But when it came to that draft class, I thought Darnell Wright was the best one coming out of Tennessee. So I didn't really like Broderick Jones and Chris Skaronski. I was like, no, I need the big boy right at the tackle spot, because he I don't think he allowed a sack that whole year in his senior year. So I mean that's very pivotal. His last year. That's very pivotal, because that was a main contributor to that offense being very explosive.
Oh, I agree, man. Yeah, I'll tell you what, you're spot on with that. And that's something that you got to look at. And it's not really a position that people get really like, ooh, there's a highlight reel. But it's the other reel that you want to stay away from, right? But here's a guy over in Tennessee that I was excited about, Matt. And I think Cushenberry, the center
from Denver. That used to play for Denver.
Used to play from Denver. Now we got Dolman. All sins are forgiven. But at that point, I was like, that was the dude that I feel, would have really. But we're good now. It's all, all forgiven. There, you said there's a question. Hey, son, how you doing, buddy? I love you. Thanks for tuning in. So there's a question in here. You saw it?
I thought I just saw it. It was addressed to you, actually.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
V-Dog. Question for Trax. Which tackle position of the two is easier to play? So the easier position for me, I'm only going off of me, okay? They had me play both, but I didn't really get to hang out at right tackle for a while because our quarterback was getting blown up. But they wanted to use me to the right because they saw that with my size being 6'6", my lateral movement was pretty decent. You run to the right more than you run to the left. The left is for, pass blocking traditionally, not all the time. And the right, go look at the Detroit Lions. The whole right side of that offensive line last year, not this year, it's going to change a little bit. Saw some people move on. But that whole right side was for running, okay? Some of it left, counters, whatever. You got to keep them honest, Chris. You can't do the right every time. But to the point of running to the right, passing it to the left. Now, going back to what Ben Johnson said, it's easier to install pass blocking than it is run blocking as a team, as a whole. That whole team of the offensive line functions as a unit. Everybody's got to know their role, where they're going, what's going on, your tendencies in and out, just like Chris with his nickel back or his safety. You all get to know each other. What's going on? What's this guy strong at? Can he cover some of my, inadequacies or some things that I'm lacking and stuff? And that's kind of where you're at. So with me at left tackle, I like that more. That left leg is kind of out there on an island. The right one does all the work. And you kind of got that. Every once in a while, you'll see a defensive back, a Chris, come behind you and blow you up with some speed. You kind of got to, kick that leg out and get that guy, use, whatever. That inside is the one that does all the work. Now over on the right, it's a lot of lateral movement, and you've got to be a little bit more quick. I really don't have an answer to that. It's all situational and what your skills are at and where most of your reps leading to retention are at. For me, it was left tackle only because I was pigeonholed, because as soon as I went to right, it got a little bit better incremental, but they pushed me right over to left because my quarterback was getting blown up that day, and you can't have that. You need a clean jersey, clean pocket, all that stuff. We got over 804 in the building, man. Thank you, guys. Love you.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for the questions, too. And thank you guys for watching tonight. Chicago Sports Podcast. We're talking about Colin Cowherd predicts the Bears are going to make the playoffs this year, and we're talking about the offensive line. And his last point that he was talking about, why he thinks that they're going to make the playoffs, is Caleb has a real mentor in Ben Johnson. So obviously the Eberflus and the defensive coaches last year, he thinks they can be a 9 or 10 win team because of the coaching staff is a big upgrade over last year. We've talked a lot about that on a lot of our shows. Me and Chris have talked about that. Trax, you've talked a lot about that. And we talk about the offensive line upgrade, which we just did a second ago. Some of the draft picks that we had this year, I think Colson Loveland is going to be an interesting player. I'm excited to see what he can do in this system. We talked about Jaquan Brisker earlier. I think if he comes back healthy, he can make a big difference back in our defense. The schemes are at the beginning of the year is going to be interesting, guys. I think they try to go into the new schemes, the Caleb and Johnson together, new offense, new defensive schemes. There could be some growing pains, especially the first couple of games are pretty tough that we have. We could see some growing pains the first few weeks of the season, but overall, I think it's going to be great by the end of the year. I think Ben Johnson's going to be great for this team. And Chris, me and you talked about our love for Ben Johnson over and over again on our shows, man. I think with his coaching staff alone and the way in his demeanor and what we've seen so far from him, I think that's just going to be, at least if we had 5 wins last year, I think with his coaching staff and him in general, that alone will be at least 2 or 3 more victories. Even if you just put the players aside, I think the coaching staff can get you a couple more wins compared to last year.
Oh, definitely, because a lot of those losses was because of coaching. So I honestly think with a guy with Ben Johnson, what you're going to get is a unique style of where he's going to be able to attack you in different forms, different ways from even the same set. He can run the same formation, and you still can't guess the play call because of the roster, because of the style of play. He wants to run the ball. He wants to be able to throw the ball as well. He loves to dish the ball to the tight ends, give it to the running backs. But then my thing I want to pay attention to also is the defensive side of the ball. You brought up Jaquan Brisker. Thing about it is, when you look at a Dennis Allen defense, there's a lot of attack in that defense. So it kind of takes it doesn't put a lot of pressure on those safeties for the most part. There's times that he'll run a lot of man coverage underneath, and the safeties can just be over the top. But also, he can also use those safeties and rotate them, and it can trick a quarterback into making a bad play or two. So the way this roster's built for this coaching staff on both sides of the ball, it kind of fits their style because of the simple fact that they have the pieces that they need to make their style kind of there's no really missing piece, so he can just call his play. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way his play calling goes, there's no hiccups. There's no, I can't call this because I'm missing this type of player on this side of the ball. And that's what gets me so excited. You bring these guys in and they're able to just hit the ground running because of the guys we have. And, we'll see if we ball out this year. I expect us to win the division easy, but you know what I'm saying? That we still got to play the games first.
Winning the division tracks. What do you think of that?
I'll tell you what, I think the coaches are going to help us get to that level. I think Colin is onto something, and he's actually been very hard on us in the past. Most national media is. I feel like they really want to poke the bear, but there are some notable situations back where these coaches have really helped out, especially quarterbacks. I wrote some down. Coming from the West Coast, one that's real easy to cherry pick is Bill Walsh. Back in 1979, he got a quarterback in the 3rd round that was not mediocre, but, Joe Montana, he had, 3rd round. We really didn't expect much, but Walsh's system emphasizes precision passing and timing in that West Coast, dink and dunk and all that kind of stuff, decision-making and all that. It suited Montana and whatnot, but you could really see his growth, man. He transformed himself into a quarterback that was just, pretty good at Notre Dame, but 4-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time NFL MVP, man. I mean, the stats don't lie with this one, his ability to read defenses, that really helped him out too. It was a 80, almost 82% completion rate in Super Bowl that they had, but it was one of the best records of all time, by the way, man. And the outcome was unreal. Not saying this is going to be Caleb, but they went on to win 4 Super Bowls, 81, 84, 88, and 89 under Walsh's, deal. Now look at Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes. 2017 to present. I mean, they drafted, Patrick. They had Alex Smith. Reid tailored him to his playbook, to Mahomes' unique talent, his improvisational off-script skills. and giving him the freedom to make plays, 5,100 yards, 50 touchdowns, all that good stuff. His offensive schemes are ridiculous. We know the rest. The rest is history. 2019, 2022, 2023 Super Bowl titles, and arguably almost 2024. They were in there, man, and they're always in there. Now, this guy we're not really a big fan of. He just took the field again with Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, man, 2006 to 2012. They had a really good run together, man. McCarthy really did good with Rodgers. Drafted him in 2005, sat behind Brett Favre. I think Brett Favre had a lot to do with it too, mind you, but the coach worked on his mechanics and footwork and helped him understand those defensive coverages. And then, he had that MVP in 2010 Super Bowl win. And in 2011, 4,600 yards, 45 touchdowns, and NFL MVP honors. The last one I want to talk about, and this is the one that I think still to this day hurts Buffalo, but I don't know if Josh Allen makes that leap without Brian Daboll. I really wanted him as a head coach. I'm glad we got Johnson, but dude, talk about a transformation. You guys are already agreeing with me right now. I don't even know if I need to get into it, but I mean, he was drafted in 2018, struggled with accuracy at 53%, pedestrian, kind of reminded me of somebody up in Green Bay right now. Not as good, I hope. But he made a significant leap in 2020, man. 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns, nearly 70% completion rate, finish MVP finalist. The stats don't lie. And then we could go all the way back to Tom Landry and Roger Staubach in the 70s, but then we got the sheriff, Tony Dungy and Peyton Manning. Come on. Talk about a run. 2002 to 2008. Those are ridiculous. MVP awards, 2003, 2004, 2008, 2009. And then we don't need to talk about the Super Bowl in 2006. We remember that, right, guys? I don't want to get kicked off my own show, but perennial playoff contenders, 12 plus wins and 5 consecutive seasons, 2003 to 2007. Those are just some examples of coaches that can, make these players better, groom them, brings things out in them that you normally wouldn't see without them. And I really feel like these coaching matters, guys. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, you got to have the talent on the field, but you got to have mentors. You got to have people that install that culture that everybody talks about now. And it's important. I think it's really important. And I think Ben is doing that. And Caleb, listen, what Caleb says is important. Listen, guys, if you're out there, young players, if you're listening to us, listen to one thing. Yeah, you might want a best friend and whatever, but you already got one. There's one thing that is not taken right now, and that's a head coach. And you need a head coach. You don't need a best friend, because that head coach is going to bring something out of you, and that's going to like. When I went last year to the Hall of Fame, Matt, one thing rang true. A lot of those guys that were inducted into the Hall of Fame out in the audience. And if you go back and listen to the tapes, they always bring back the coach, whether it be college, whether it be NFL, whether it be Pee Wee football, whether it be some mentor or whoever. Coaching matters, guys. Coaching matters.
Coaching matters. And I think coaching in any, what's funny, Checks? I think that's in any walk of life too, when you think about it. For anybody that has a job, you always have that one boss, that one mentor along the way that has helped you out, that you look up to. And that's what we're looking for here with this year, with having Ben Johnson in place, that he can bring that out of this team, that he can bring this out because of all the struggles that the Bears have had for years and years now. But at least we have a coach now that we think can get us to the next level. And I think that's why we get on these shows, Trax and Chris, and we come on here every week, and we're so excited to talk about this type of stuff. And we're talking about why we can make the playoffs this year is because of Ben Johnson. And we're going to continue to talk about him. We're going to continue to talk about him all season long. And guys, I got to ask you then, because as we went over all the different points that Colin has made during the show, we went over the divisional questions, the offensive line, and the mentor of being Ben Johnson. He says they're a 9-win-10 team. I think they're also a 9-win-10 team. Tracks. It sounds like to you as well that you have them around that area, if not even higher.
Yeah, I definitely do. And I've had some really high highs and a couple lows along the way because I've been reminded of some things that have happened along the way that you lose sight of when, you start get those good juices flowing and you see some things. It's easy to forget, what do they say? Winning cures all. And even though we're not winning, I feel like we're winning the off season. Calvin brings up a good point, and the staff he hired. Talk to me about it, guys. Talk to me about this staff. It's ridiculous. I got these names written down really quickly. Hold on a second. Look at this. Look at this. This is crazy. Head coach Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator Declan Doyle, defensive coordinator Dennis Allen. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. All these other guys. Who's your favorite staff member outside? I'll ask you guys. Who's your favorite staff member outside of Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen? I mean, it's hard to pick.
I like the Antoine. I like the Antoine Randall L hire myself, just because of the fact that he was with Ben Johnson in Detroit. So they're already there. They know what each other's gonna do. There's already that, that they're already on the same sheet of music once they walk in the building. So that's one of my favorite right there, outside of the Dennis Allen hire, because once you said Dennis Allen, I was like, oh, he took my answer, because I love attacking defenses. I don't like defense like the sit back and coverage.
Yeah. What about you,
Go
Matt?
get him.
I'm gonna do something I'm gonna say off the wall here. Richard Smith, the linebackers coach.
Okay.
What is he like? He's like in his upper. He's his upper 60s. He's got that old. I feel like he's got that old school mentality, man. You look at him. He's got that old school look to him. He was with the Colts, because I remember seeing him with the Colts over the last couple of years. When I was watching some of their games, but I like watching that guy, man, because and I'm excited to see what he can do with our linebackers this year, because I do think it's a big year. Edwards had a great year last year. I want to see what Edmonds does this year too. But I just like his old grittiness, man. When you watch him and you watch some of the things that I've watched.
Guys, here's a guy here is a guy right now that shouldn't be a sleeper, but is, and for whatever reason, shame on me, shame on all of us. This guy right here. Eric Bieniemy, man. Eric Bieniemy. He's not even standing next to the position that he's coaching this year and for most of his career. We forget that he was an OC. We forget how much trust Andy Reid had in him and how much growth and development Patrick Mahomes had under his watch. Go back, just Google. Do yourself a favor. Trax didn't put this in there. I don't own Google. I cannot control Google in there. Look at what he said about Eric Bieniemy. It is criminal of what's going on right now with Eric Bieniemy. You go back and look at our shorts that we created when we had JC on from Windy City Breeze. We got over 18,000 views on that short. 18,000. That might be the biggest one in the history of ever, but it is criminal what they are doing. Look at this guy. We wanted this guy, the best offensive lineman in my mind on that team, and he gives Eric Bieniemy tons of praise. Eric Bieniemy doesn't say why me. Eric Bieniemy says try me, and he goes and finds all different positions, talk to these men, and spends time with guys even out of his own positional running back group. And that is what you look at when you have, and it says it takes a village. It isn't just, oh, I'm going to turn the blinders on and I'm just going to deal with the running backs. Eric Bieniemy's cut from a different cloth, guys. He is phenomenal, and I think he is a valuable. There's a difference between cheap and value. We didn't go cheap. We've got tons of value with this guy. I love him, man. Chris, I know you're itching to get in here, man. What do you got to say about this guy?
Well, when you said Eric Bieniemy, my eyes is wide open on Eric Bieniemy for a minute, and it's not for what a lot of people think. When you hear a lot of what these players have to say, one of the things that I really love is the fact that he gets on everybody. He doesn't just get on he doesn't go, oh, the star player. I can't tell him to step his game up. No, he gets on everybody. If you messed up, I don't care what your name is on your jersey, I don't care what your contract is. I'm gonna hold you accountable. And that's one of the things that's kind of hindered this organization is there's been a lack of accountability these past couple seasons. And hold on, here's another caveat. When you look at Eric Bieniemy's resume, there's another guy that stands out there, and his name is not Patrick Mahomes. It's Adrian Peterson.
Woo!
He was Adrian Peterson's running back coach. Come, I believe his rookie season.
Big
So
game.
you also got to think about that too. When he came to coach Adrian Peterson, he was hard on him too. Hold him accountable, got on his behind to perfect his craft. So that's what you're getting when you bring in Eric Bieniemy in the building. It is a culture of, he's bringing some sort of a culture of, I'm here to be on your behind so you can get the best out of you, but I do it because I care and I see it in you. So that's why I love having Eric Bieniemy on his coaching staff. And it's crazy that you don't have an NFL head coaching opportunity somewhere else. It's crazy. I'll say.
Andy just said it a few months ago. He just said, I can't believe this guy. I don't know what's going on. It's criminal that he has not been picked up as it. Guess what? We got him. He's ours. It's awesome. I had to turn my head on back because I'm fanning myself right now. Chris is bringing the heat. Matt's bringing the heat. But I'll tell you one other thing. This is definitely Confession Friday because I got another thing that I've always talked about. And I remember a few years back when we got Tressman and we had a huge run. We went out 5-0. Lance Briggs was like, hey, our defense is so good. You know, people were saying statistically the numbers were ridiculous. They were really high and floated 85. I said, stop. Okay. My biggest problem, and it was different when Jordan did it because he backed it up always. And I finally found out why he did it, because he wanted to beat you at your best. He wanted to get you so upset that you played the best version of yourself. He wasn't worried and hoping that you had a boo-boo or an ankle or whatever. You're like, oh, man, this guy's – no. He wanted you as healthy as an ox, drink your they didn't have Red Bull back then, Mountain Dew or whatever, or Jolt Cola, whatever it took to bring your A game and be all fired up, you know, bouncing around like a BB in a beer can. He wanted you to be at your best. And I'm going to tell you right now, this guy, these coaches, Ben Johnson, he is bringing the heat. And I normally don't like it when a average player or a good player or maybe even a great player, amazing player, it's different. You know, it's like, you know, elite. But an average player makes other teams circle the calendar, and then they bring it. Ben Johnson is already doing that with the Packers. He's like, yo, I love beating them twice on Sunday, twice a year. I love beating this coach over there. I love beating Green Bay. It's great. Like, what are you doing? We finally beat these guys. First of the year. We're 1-0. You're like, dude, you realize that you won with the best team in the NFC North. You're coming over to us and you're bringing a lot of heat on us, dude. But I'm okay with it. And now Eric Bieniemy, same thing, man. He's bringing that heat and he's passionate about it. He ain't Roman Catholic. He's more Pentecostal when he's talking to these guys. You already heard him say to that running back, he's like, you move like an old man. Like, dude, really?
Rookie.
Yeah. He said that to Manaji de Trois, whatever. Yeah, that guy. And guess what? Now they're like, whoa, he's actually looking pretty good. So elevating talent. Once again, Chris said, go back. Chris didn't put it on Google. Do your Google search, see what Adrian Peterson said about, Eric Bieniemy and how he helped him develop, man. It's unbelievable, these guys that we got. Al Harris, our guys yesterday was talking about that with, what do you call it, Bishop and D. Nice, Darius. They were both talking about, dude, Al Harris is a dog. I mean, we could go on and on and on about all of this staff.
Oh yeah.
This was all going back to somebody brought it up in the chat. Like I said, your words matter. Your opinion matters. We'll bring it out. We'll talk about it. We'll chop it up. It's like you're on the show, guys. Sorry, Matt.
No, thank you guys for watching tonight. Appreciate you guys all. I mean, what do we have right now, Tracks? 800?
863 in the building.
Thank you guys. No, that's freaking awesome, man. Thank you guys, man. That's awesome. So yeah, like and subscribe on our page, man. That'd be awesome. And share this with other Bears fans. Hey guys, is there anything else I missed? Anything else as we wrap things up here tonight? As we got done, we went over everything with Colin Cowherd about the Bears and going to the playoffs. And I'll just go around the room, man, to give your final thoughts. Chris, I'll start with you.
My final thoughts is I'm excited for what this season has to come. It says quite a bit when Colin he says something totally different about your organization. Even though we've known that he has his hiccups on judging certain players and stuff like that, but at the same time, we all see it. This organization, it looks like something great's going to be coming soon, and sooner than what people want it to be. Whoever the opposition is, well, fan base, we all for it all day, every day. I honestly think Ben Johnson, he's spitting that heat because of the simple fact that when you looked at that Detroit Lions team last year, he was dropping 40, 30, and 50 burgers. So you also got to think about that. On top of that, now he's bringing them pieces over here. He got the coaching staff he want, the roster set. You know what I'm saying? We're at a point where it's like, hey man, like I need a sample. Give me that preseason. I need the preseason right now. But it's like we gotta just trust that process. You know what I'm saying? Like, keep it, stay excited, Bears Nation, continue to bear down. I can't wait. I want to see a 40 burger. Just if I get 230s, I'm cool. But I want to see a 40 burger this year, bro. Even a 50. If I get a 50, I'll dance on it on here if there's a 50 burger. So I'm all excited about this offense, this defense. I'm ready for it to turn up. I'm ready for them to attack. Because when they were attacking just a little bit the past 2 seasons, you've seen a lot of impacts of what that would do because of their speed and their physicality. I want them to do that all game, every day. Make that offense quit. And I think we have the coaches that bring that mentality to do that, to just beat up on other teams all day. We just got to put it together.
What about you, Trax? Final thoughts for you, man?
I'll tell you what. I'm fired up about Caleb Williams. I think he got himself in the right situation. I really like this Ben Johnson calling him out on the carpet. I love all the stuff coming out about him, about all the, about all the heat where he wanted to go to a different coach and all this kind of stuff. This is where the pressure turns it into diamonds, man. We're going to see what this cat is really cut. It ain't going to be him cutting, like just disappearing off. He's going to come out, and I think it's going to be good. I mean, the number 1 overall draft pick, we need him. He's already shown that he could potentially be a generational quarterback with some throws that are just unbelievable. Because when you got that speed and when you got that arm at the same time, dual threat QB, it don't happen too often, folks. And the fact that he threw very few 6 interceptions last year. Come on, guys. He didn't cough it up that much. And in that situation, the best thing that you can do for a rookie is to not make the situation worse. He didn't do that. And 68 times sacked and he didn't get injured. That shows that he wanted to be out there, because fast in the word of God, most people would have, curled up in the fetal position and pulled themselves out for a few games and let a controversial quarterback situation in Chicago, which has always been there, get worse. But I mean, his arm strength, his poise, guys, his ability to make plays, and people are comparing him to Patrick. I don't think I'm there yet, but the fact that he's kind of in those talks is crazy, man. Second year, in that Shane Waldron thing was just ridiculous, man. Unbelievable. It was freaking horrific, all that kind of stuff, man. We got the defense, Tyreek Stevenson coming out. I think with him, and we were talking earlier about that defensive back coach you know, I think he's going to end up being in the no-fly zone with Spider-Man and your boy Brisker and all that. I think it's going to look really nice, man. You know, uh, all these guys that they've brought in, Matt, they show what Chicago blue collar is all about. These guys are going to grind it up. You know, the Grady Jarrett, this guy, I love him, dude. He is ready. I think he's still got a few years left in the tank. You know what I'm saying? I think 31 years old, 32 years old, I think we still got him for another 3 years. I think he's going to play really hard-nosed, disciplined football. And I think all these guys that we got are still very hungry. I feel like what Ryan Poles did was masterful, and we're still reloading. Next year, some of these guys that we're really high on, Matt, we're just getting started, baby. We're just getting started. Because listen to this. Iron sharpens iron. Who in the heck did Ryan Poles get to talk to and see who they're going to draft? You talk to your head coach, right? You talk to your offensive coordinator. You got to talk to your defensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator got pulled away by the federal government. He got pulled out of there from the FBI, man. Think of all the drama that Hale and Ryan Poles is still weathering the storm. They had the groundskeepers, the equipment gets stole, riding lawnmowers, weed whackers. That's not there, but Trax knows about it. All that stuff got freaking stolen. I mean, they had all kinds of stuff going on. Meanwhile, you know, we're trying to figure out where we're going to move, where we're going to stay. Are we going to move here? We're going to go. A lot of stuff going on. Then, you know, Eberflus gets hauled out of there, right? All kinds of craziness, man. I'm telling you, all you Bears fans, if you stood with us, ride or die, this season's for you, baby. And guess what? NFC North, we're coming for you. A couple years early, but guess what? We ain't giving the North back. We're coming for you, and we're coming strong. We got a guy that's coming for the jugular, and he said, I love beating Green Bay. I love beating Green Bay. I love that. And we took the masterful Detroit Lion offensive coordinator and turned him into a head coach. So guess what? Now Detroit, sorry. Antoine Randall, sorry. We got you too. I think Minnesota, I think they're the ones that we got to worry about, guys. But I'm saying 10 to 12 wins this year. 10 to 12 wins. I think at the very least, we are in the playoff hunt in the wild card. We'll see what happens there, because at that point, Matt, Chris, we know it's 0-0, right? So, I mean, dude, this is good. I mean, look at it. Why not? Jaden Daniels, as a rookie, they had 4 wins the year before. They were 1 win away from going to the Super Bowl. And Caleb's got more experience than that, right, Matt? How many wins for you, Matt? How many wins for you? Did I talk you up into a lather? Do you got a little extra win or two, or you want to sprinkle a little bit more?
I'm going to say 9 to 10. I'm going with Colin's pick. I think 9 to 10. I think 9 to 10. I think they can do 9 or 10 wins this year. I think a couple wins alone for the coaching staff.
It gotta be double. I gotta be double digits. Come on, Matt. It gotta be double. Give me a 10 or 11, Matt.
Dude, I gave him 9 wins last year. They had 5 wins.
10-11. He wants you to go 10-11. He wants you to go 10-11. No, listen. Out of all the excuses, Matt, out of all the excuses, Chris, that we gave for Caleb, justifiable, right? I'm not saying that they weren't warranted. Can't we give some excuses for the running backs? Can we see the running backs emerge and get better this year? I think we can with that offensive line alone, and not just calling plays to say, oh, we need to run it on the inside, so let's run it up the gut. Like, really? Okay, let's do a shotgun draw up the middle. Really? That did nothing. We're going to do it again, though. Little screen over here. Like, dude, I'm telling you guys, this stuff is, that math wasn't mathing. This will. It's going to be great. It's going to be bananas. And listen, let me ask you a question, Matt. Let me ask you a question, Chris. Even if, say, hypothetically, we don't double our wins. Let's say we get like 8 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins, but we could have had 9, 10, 11. But we were in every game and everybody got better. And we are building something that's sustainable, that's here to stay, not just a flash in the pan, a one-hit wonder. Don't you guys think that's more important? I feel like it could be more important, and I'd be okay with that. Would you guys be okay with that?
I'll be okay with
Yeah,
it I'll be okay with it if it's like we're at the last game of the year and we're playing for a playoff spot. Because because of what happened last year where it was that huge collapse, I want us to be in a position to get to the bit just to get to the dance. You ain't got to be homecoming king and queen, but just be in the dance. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of feeling like I'm the person looking outside the cafeteria because I couldn't get a ticket. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like let's be in a position to make that dance. You know what I
Chris,
mean?
don't want a free lunch. Do not bring Chris a free lunch. We're tired of free lunches. We're done with the free lunches, man. Hey, don't try to trade for an egg sandwich for peanut butter and jelly. You know, we want the full deal, man. Listen, I want to know. Come on, man. You got to go 10-11 now, man. Come on.
I'm gonna go 9 or 10.
All right.
I'm not. You know, guys. Here's what I'll say. I still think, because this is the first year of the coaching staff. Listen, I love our team right now, but I still think there's players that they want to get in here. That the coaching staff will get in here, figure out what they like, what they don't like, and then I still think it's going to be another year till they really want those players that they're looking for to complement the players they like already on this team. So that's why I still think it's a 9 or 10 win season, and. I hope it's 11 or 12 wins. I hope it's 11 or 12 wins. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's 11 or 12 and they go to the playoffs. And
I know you do, but honestly, I know for a fact. Well, I don't know for a fact, right? But the hate for Rashawn Johnson is unbelievable. The disrespect for that man is ridiculous. We make more excuses for Brisker, justifiably on that end. But on the same end, with his health in the head and all that, this guy, dude, he really, Chris, he could be our, David Montgomery for the Detroit Lions over here in Chicago, who we already had Montgomery, and we could have kept him, and he'd be right here with Ben, right? But I'm saying this guy could be that dude, and Swift could be that dude, but I don't know, man. If Jeremiah Love is there next year, and I looked at we were talking earlier about this guy, Jacob Infante from Windy City. He said he legit sees 10 to 11 running backs that will go in the first or second round next year. Think about that, guys. This roster might not even look the same next year. Could you imagine being the decision of the sous chef on who to cycle in and out and make this team better after making it look so much better than it's ever looked in how long, Chris? How long, Matt? 10, 20 years? 2006?
A long time.
Yeah. Crazy, man. I like what Calvin C said. Take the North back, man. We're going to take the North back. And then look at James, 12-5, clinched the division. Hey, James, I love what you're saying. I hope that jersey isn't a little too tight on you and it's cutting off circulation. 12-5, man, and winning the division. I like what you're thinking, though. I'm serious. It's possible, right? I mean, we don't think he's way far off his rocker by saying that, right? It is possible.
Oh no,
I think it's possible.
No. Yeah.
I think he's right on course because when you pay attention to their toughest games, it's Philly, it's Baltimore, and I believe Cincinnati. So that's their toughest games. And you think about the games in the division. So if we were able to run the division and, say if we drop those 3 games, you're still looking at, probably like 2 more. You're still looking at an option of a possible 12-5. So it's possible.
Chris, this is a bar that James said right now. Again, no disrespect, James. You know how I'm just, jokey about stuff. I even, I cap on myself. So anyways, I hope my son's not watching because anytime I use one of his fancy words, he's like, Dad, you don't know what that means. You're old. He says something really important, and it's true, man. James says, if the Bears can stay healthy, that's a very big point because listen, you see a guy like Montez Sweat. You see a guy like JJ, Matt, if they go down, I'm not speaking that to existence, but there's a reason why the Lions were so deep, and they didn't win with household names. I'm telling you,
No, because they draft well.
dude. Yeah, exactly. And remember a few years ago how Green Bay was like a factory, guys, coming in and out of the draft. Chris, one of the best, 30-something guys on their roster they drafted. Almost 40 guys they drafted out of their roster. That's redunculous. That's how you win, is by grooming guys, bringing them in, fitting your scheme, fitting your, your vision, your culture, bringing all these guys in. They might not make sense to us, Matt, when we draft and be like, oh, why'd we not pick this guy up? He went over here. We could have got him over here and all that kind of stuff. But now look, did you guys see the other day? What's his name? Our 3 technique. Help me out. Three technique.
Wouldn't that be Grady Jarrett?
No. Well,
wouldn't that be Grady Jarrett? Who just
yeah, Grady. But I'm saying last year.
Yeah.
So that so he had better numbers than Jalen Carter out of the Eagles. We didn't pick him up, right? Why is his name escaping me? Why can't I think of this guy's name? Because Tommy Harris brought him up. He says he loves his technique. He loves his hands. He loves his motor. Yeah, Tommy Harris loves the guy that we have on our team.
Dexter?
Yeah, Jervon Dexter. And you look at his stats and his numbers. He's got more sacks. He's got more tackles. His numbers are way better than Jalen Carter. But Jalen Carter gets all the love. And here's the deal. It's in a smaller sample size, because half the snaps he's got more than Jalen Carter. And that's who we got. That's who we got on the team, dog. That's who we got on the team.
So he shows he's been more consistent as a disruptive force, but he just done it in a smaller sample size because of snaps.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And here's the deal, guys. They say that when you look at Jervon Dexter, he looks more leaner, more physical, more strong, like he's been in the gym, dialing it in. So there's guys on our team that might surprise us that we're already on the team, guys. I mean, here's the thing about Sweat. Wasn't he dealing with an injury last year, Matt? I think he was dealing with an injury most of the year. So, I mean, take it for what it's worth, but I think we might surprise a lot of people with the players that were already on the team last year,
So you're trying to convince me to go up to 12 wins. So I guess I got to drink on that this weekend and think about it.
I don't want to hold you any much longer. I know you probably got a hot date and all kinds of cool stuff.
Oh no! I'm just saying I need to drink on that this weekend.
Just one more. Just one win. Just go from the 9 to the 10. That's all. Just 9 to the 10. That's all. We just what y'all want.
Crack it open a beer. I got to really think about it this weekend. Then the next time we do our show, guys, then I'll come back and I'll let you know what I think. That's
our goal, Chris. We got to come in here and cyberbully Matt until he gives us one more win.
Little peer pressure don't hurt sometimes.
I like a good peer pressure to doing something. So something involved.
Look at even Bish is coming in here. Come on, man. Take a walk on the wild side. Go 10 at least.
You guys were all wrong in the chat. I'm right.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
W to the comments.
Oh, look. Oh, look at. They said Jervon Dexter. I love the chat, man. See? Yeah. To your point, Trax, I believe we finally have our Vic Fangio back, and Dennis Allen. Jervon Dexter is going to eat a ton. Man, I love these guys. These guys are good. So, yeah, Matt. Hey, man. Chris, Matt, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate you guys. Over 926 in the building. I got to come see you guys more often, man. This is crazy, man.
Thank you for having us out, man. We appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming out with us.
Well,
yeah, man.
I tell you what, man, iron sharpens iron, and I definitely enjoyed my Friday evening with you guys, fellas. What do you guys got planned for the weekend? Anything good?
we're probably gonna take our kids to the beach. You know what I'm saying? Just hang out a little bit. You saw one of them. She come over here saying Pokemon, Pokemon. But we're gonna get ready to go to the beach. Probably just hanging out a little bit there. So yeah.
That sounds like a great plan.
What about you, Matt?
I'm gonna drink and think about the wins for the Bears, man. So I have to find an excuse to have a few drinks tomorrow. So I'm maybe having a few drinks.
Hey,
tomorrow.
listen, Chris.
Just think about that.
Pay attention when he has a
Think about
clear.
that one.
There you go, one, just one. Hey, when you
Just
see
think
Matt,
about that one.
when you see Matt pull up on social media, he has a clear pint. That if the beer,
Mhm.
the darker the beer, the better chance we have of getting that 10. If he's drinking a regular lager, I don't know, man. He could probably session those for a while, but those craft beers, man, they'll knock you.
I think Matt needs that one cup that has a 9 on top, and the more he drinks, it goes down to a 10. That's all it is. Just from 9 to a 10. That's all we need, Matt. Just from 9 to a 10.
So that means it just has to be a darker one. Then I need the darker, the IPA, then for that to happen.
All right. Well.
Well, I'm gonna make that work, guys. I'm gonna make that work. I'll make that work this weekend.
All right.
I promise.
Well, at least,
Thank
Matt Cooper might be able to be bought, guys. So
I'm gonna come back with some better news next time we do the show. You guys gonna have me convinced. Peer pressure and everything. Now I have to go to bed tonight thinking about peer pressure. So, thank you guys, though. Thank you guys, Chris, Trax, man. It's great to do the show with you guys tonight. This was so much fun, and everybody watching tonight. Thank you guys, everybody watching tonight. Thank you so much for all the support. And you guys could be part of our family too by liking and subscribing on our page, and you'll get all the shows. And Trax, you got some more shows coming up this weekend, right?
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. I don't have what we were having some things, and we Monday. Bill Cartwright is coming on. Bulls legend center Bill Cartwright. He'll be on Monday night, so that'll be fun, man. That'll be cool. That'll be a good time. But yeah, I'm gonna take the weekend off. I had a little setback, but I feel like Darius said, Stella's got her groove back, baby. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Better, so,
We love Darius, man. One of our Darius is a great dude. So yeah, so guys, Monday night you just heard Trax, Bill Cartwright, man. You guys gonna be talking to Bill Cartwright, so make sure you guys watch on Monday night and get those notifications popping up on your phone, and we appreciate all the support. So for Chris and Trax, thank you guys for watching tonight, Chicago Sports Podcast. I'm Matt Cooper, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.